Okay, so even though the Photobook software comes with a myriad of presets that allow you to right out of the box, jump in and start creating very engaging books, very exciting books, it's going to become an essential part of a professional's workflow to import their own elements into the software. So that's what we're going to do during this exercise. Now, we've already touched upon importing backgrounds in a previous exercise, but we're going to do it just one more time just to refresh. So once you've clicked on the Backgrounds tab, if you click on this icon here, and then click Add, and then navigate to a folder with images. If you select quite a high quality image because the amount of space it's going to have to cover, so I'm going to click that on Sway 2, and I'm happy with that name, so click OK, and you see it's populated this background image in the Backgrounds tab. And again, like I can do with every other part of this of the image in this software, I can click and drag from the Backgrounds tab onto the right page, the left page, or both pages, and it's applied my personal background. So that's backgrounds. That's a little update. If we're going to just delete that for the time being. Now, the process for importing masks, frames and scrapbook elements into the software is quite similar, but there are changes. If we click on the Masks tab, you'll notice that these images, although they are all JPEGs, they are grayscale JPEGs, which means that there is only black and white and tones in between black and white available to see in these different elements. If we were to click on an image, drag it to our page, and then click on a mask, drag it from the Mask tab onto the image itself, you'll notice that the black part of this image allows you to see the image and the white part cuts out the image. So if we had a background below this image, you can see that the white part of this mask cuts the image out and allows the background to be seen from below. So let's import our own masks. Now, all you have to do is import an image that is purely black and white. You can see here that the specific effects have been pre-visualized in these images. So if I click on this tab here, click Add, navigate to my folder, and I've already begun a mask JPEG called Mask JPEG. Click OK, and you see here, I'm happy with that name, that you have black text on a white background. So if I were to select an image, make it quite large, and then apply this mask by clicking and dragging onto the image, you can see that where the black text is, the image gets shown through, and where the white space is, the image gets cut out. Again, if we add a background, this will be seen a bit more clearly. There you go, you can see that there. Now, this is the primary use of masks to get these particular effects, but you can do quite interesting alternative effects with masks if you have a little bit of experimentation and patience. If you click on this Add tab, and you navigate to not just a black and white image, but a black and white photograph. So I'm going to click this one here, click Open. I'm happy with that. And then if you get a color image, drag it to your book, make it quite large. And then click and drag this black and white photograph from the Masks tab onto your color image on your book page. And then let go. You see here you have quite an interesting effect. This is it kind of gives almost a cross-process photograph effect and a bit of a blending. And these are the sort of things that you can do quite easily with this software. So let's move on. Okay, so importing frames and scrapbook elements into the software is very similar. The process is the same, but the files themselves are different. Instead of being JPEGs, they're PNGs. And PNG files allow there to be image data, but also there to be transparency data as well. So if we just create a background, and we were to drag a scrapbook element onto this background here, say this alien, you can see that the alien itself is opaque, but the area around it is transparent. It's been cut out basically. Now, creating these elements yourself is possible in programs like Photoshop and Painter, but once you've saved them out, importing them is exactly the same. If you click on this tab here and click Add and go to a file that has a folder that has these images in, I've created these two images here, so I'm going to import both of these. So icon1 PNG, click Open. I'm happy with that name. And icon2, Open. I'm happy with that name. And now these elements are available for me to use in this entire project and all projects of this type. So I can click and drag onto the page, and I can rotate. You can see that all the white elements have been removed, but the shadowing is still all there. And that's importing scrapbook items. Now frames is much the same, the file format is the same, but you have one extra level of importing preferences to go through when you're importing a frame. If you click on the Frames tab and then click on this button here, click Add, and then I have a frame PNG here, click Open, and it brings up this dialog box here, which allows you to, these blue lines set where the image boundary of the image you're going to overlay this frame onto will end. Now, I don't want this image to go beyond this black frame here because it will look a bit odd, so I'm going to just get these little handles here and pull them in to make sure that the image doesn't exceed this black here. And I'm going to name it Frames Fine, click OK. And now it's populated my frame PNG in the Frames tab. If I click on this image here, click it on, drag it in, and then click from the Frames tab onto this image here and let go, you can see that my frame has been applied to this image. Okay, so that's importing your elements into the software. A few more things just to quickly go through in this exercise. If you go up to this Insert button here at the top of the software, you can insert a picture box, which can be rectangle, oval, or polygon, or you can insert a shape box. So if you were to click maybe oval, and then go to the Image Properties tab in your Properties panel, which is this one here, you can change the color, you can change the opacity, you can add a border to it, increase the size, change the border color to blue, add a drop shadow, etc. Increase the blur of that, maybe increase the opacity as well. Okay, you can change the color of the, that's a very psychedelic type thing. Okay, and again, all these things can be done if you were to get a polygon, which is a diamond shape, and again you can change these here as well if you want to. And all these colors can be changed, opacity, drop shadow, etc. Angle of the drop shadow can be changed.